Dude, that surfer is killing it out there. Did you see that guy?
Where's he at?
Man, he's amazing. Nah. Over here to the right, there's a dude. He just got wiped out. Here, we'll have to see him again. But he carved like, dude, those waves aren't that big. How big do we think those waves? Oh, look, here we go. Here we go. Let's see what he's got. This is our new podcast. We just critique surfers. A lot of TikTokers out here. I support it.
Do some TikTok, people.
Let's talk about the top.
Tickety top. There you go. Hey.
Hey. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a cool minute.
How about you?
Good. I miss this. I miss this a lot. We've been for people who don't know, which is probably everybody, we've been working on set walls at the casa. We've been building. We've been putting the ply. We just got the plywood. The drywall on today. So we have a 2-sided set that's really cool. So we're gonna see if we can't put that together into a nice set to make things more aesthetically pleasing for you. But honestly, I don't know how it gets more aesthetically pleasing than what we're looking at. So I'll probably have to cut to some B-roll of the beautiful La Jolla shores, which I'm sure a lot of you guys already know what that looks like. So, anything major going on in you guys' lives since we last checked in? What's up?
I've just been working, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more exciting than that right now.
Yep.
I think just working on my graphic design portfolio, and learning some videography from you guys.
Yep.
Not selling myself short. It's just kind of how I see it, just going in that nice rhythm, always in a perpetual emotion. So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, just working and then diving into, and I'll speak for you too, but diving into like our own, actually all three of us, diving into our own segments more deeply. I feel like you were kind of doing it a lot, but like really a lot, you and I just really diving into like doing our own thing and really using each other to kind of practice our crafts. So I've been doing a lot of that the last like month or two, and really taking like a new perspective on things. You said we talked about it today on the way back from Home Depot. What'd you say? You said a new phrase for you of 2024.
Yeah.
What was that again?
So I mean, that's let's digress. Let's back up a little bit. So like, we've been trying to build a company together, and we really wanted to find something where all of us fit in our own way, like puzzle pieces. And I think we've done that. There's 4 main individuals. Mike, unfortunately, is not here with us, but for good reason. He's out serving our country and doing some amazing things in the world, and we love him dearly. And as we were embarking on that, it kept occurring to me that a lot of the opportunities that were presenting themselves didn't seem to continuously come to fruition. And some of them, like our brother Chris Gordon, hopefully we still have some opportunities to do some really cool things on that side. But I was starting to think, and I was just like, man, like all these little situations keep coming up. And I was like, man, to make sure that the team stays in a really good space, we have to make sure that the things that we do in 2024 make sense. And I think that can get lost in translation. So let me do the honor of explaining. When you're looking at any aspect of your life, and this is something that I'm doing daily now, when people ask something of you, or when you embark on a task, or when you decide that you have something that you want to accomplish, you need to ask yourself, in relation to what it is that I want to do over a 5, 10, 15-year period, does this make sense? And moreover, when somebody else is trying to involve you in something, is what they're requesting, does it truly make sense? And like, man, I remember people come up to me and ask me to like shoot stuff and do certain things. I was like, this doesn't make sense for what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go. It doesn't make sense for where my team's trying to go. I found myself like not necessarily turning down a lot of projects. I'm not saying that I'm like the pick of the litter where everybody's trying to come and find Reggie, but often I found myself going, man, like I don't even know if I want to pursue that anymore. Like I don't even know if that's where I want my mind to be. And so, not to start off so early in 2024 with advice, because I know this is our first pod of the year, but what I would have you consider if you're listening, if you're watching, hopefully, is the things in your life during this year need to make sense. the people in your life this year need to make sense. Where you're going and how you plan to get there, moreover, really needs to make sense. And so however you decide to make sense of that is up to you. What I won't tell you is how to get there. And I always loved this saying back in the day where I used to say, man, I'll give you all the variables, I'll allow you to make the equation and solve it. But what happens when the variables don't add up? You can't solve the equation. And so here we're presented with these opportunities at the cusp of 2024, and even some opportunities last year that were like, man, this just doesn't make sense. And maybe they're in areas that we really want to see success in, with ourselves, individually, with groups. But I'm finding that that premise is not the happiest space to live in, unfortunately. But I think it has a lot more to do in regards to success with where we could go over 10 to 15 years, as long as we thwart all of the not so promising opportunities. And like I said, we still have some great ones on the table, like what Chris has got going on. Chris Gorder, shout out to him. It's always a brother of ours. There's always some amazing opportunities. But I'm really happy as well that we've gotten in-house and really consolidated our efforts towards some projects that we're passionate about. You know, Andrew is too humble to mention it, but he's got some cool stuff that he's planning to do with Nicole. Chris is ramping back up into Elite Lowlifes and really showing off some great ideas. So I'm excited to see what we do there. I get out on beautiful areas and talk to beautiful people, through my segments. And honestly, it's been one of the most therapeutic things I've done in the last 5 to 10 years. I would even put it up there next to the gym, like the mental gymnastics of making sure that I have a genuine message that I want to share with people. I think has been a beautiful experience. So in 2024, what is it that makes sense to you guys in terms of the lessons that you plan to bring from 2023 or prior into this year? That dog has a really long legs for his body.
Yeah. That's a tough question. Just like thinking about it now, it's like my best answer, and the answer that not the answer that I've been pondering, but that I've been kind of we kind of talked about it today, and we talked about it the last time, not this morning, but the last time I saw you guys. Is being good with where we're at now. So being patient with where I'm at now, and I feel like that's what makes sense. And not to backtrack, but like to answer your original question as far as, you know, how I'm doing and what I'm doing, it's like everything I'm doing, I'm so far ahead in my way of thinking that I've had to have conversations, obviously with you guys and then with Nicole, and it's just like you gotta be okay with where you're at now and being patient. And I even had a conversation with Nicole on our drive back down home to San Diego last night, just, you know, being frustrated with the whole, like, with where I'm at. And she's like, you've done and accomplished so much in last year, and even within the last 28 days of January, it's like you need to be happy where you're at now, and where we're at now makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like it makes sense. Like us being here right now makes sense. Us building the wall, it makes sense. You know, we're doing that little by little. And so it's like, yeah, that's like my best answer. Like, what makes sense is what, like, right now, in this very moment.
I love that was something that you visited, like, on your own, because it was something that I think Chris and I have both thought individually, like, especially in regards to you, is you're a few years younger than us, but you're right where we are mentally. And one of the challenges that I went through a few years ago is, I remember, and you know who else is going through this right now? I feel like, to some degree, shout out to Mars. I feel like she's a perfect person to talk about in this perspective too, is like, you guys want to move so fast, and I love that, and you need to still have that drive. I'm not telling you to give up on your drive, but one interesting thing is, I'm like, man, I hope you guys don't do what I did to some degree, which is like you start moving so fast that you miss some of the most beautiful aspects of life.
Sorry, that's kind of funny, because prior to Reginald being in love,
He was doing it.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally. Funny thing is, Nicole and I talked about it last night too, We had a 2-hour drive, so it's like, let's just talk.
Yeah.
Bro. And I'm not blaming you because I give so much thanks to you. Is when I first met you, is like you were not questioning my work ethic, but it was almost like challenging me, and that's where my mentality came. Like, oh dang, I gotta think two steps ahead, 5 steps.
Am I a hypocrite?
So good at no. And then now I'm here, and I'm just like, now it's funny to like know, like you're like, shoot, you needed to almost like slow down and enjoy the now. And so now I'm trying to be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I need to, when the time is right, when it makes sense, work fast, get to it, but then when it makes sense also, you gotta just be cool with where you are now. And it's a balance.
Exactly. It's just the balance of it, man. Like we talked about it so many times, it's easier said than done, right? But when we look at the great picture, it's great to have as enthusiastic and energetic people like yourself. It's great to have analytical people like himself. You know what I mean? Like, it's really important to have all this because this is exactly what helps us balance. Now, it'd be cool if one day I just wake up and I was that perfect of a person, but realistically I'm not. So it's yeah, man. Every time I give that advice, it's just based on my experience. So it's, if you can find the balance, find it. Be comfortable with where you are, because we need that. Yeah. We need that, So.
And let me do it. Let me do something that I need to do more often. Let me apologize to you, because I think that I 100%, like, through my own fears and insecurities, will often push others, like, way past, like, they're already doing so perfect, like you were doing so well, and I'm not saying that you're blaming me for anything or anything of that nature, but as I look back on it, I'm like, man, you're totally right, dude. I remember when we sat like right up that hill and Nicole was like, sit down, you guys are done, like calm, like, like calm down, like you guys are, I see what you're trying to do. She never disparaged us from what we were trying to accomplish, but she was like, you guys are going really hard, and I don't know that you guys are taking time to rest. I think we weren't sleeping, but we were doing, you know what I mean?
Sleep wasn't even a thing.
Man, like, and that's like, and it's funny because today I was talking to Chris a lot about, I think we had 2 or 3 situations, one at Home Depot, one at home, where I was like, dude, I need you to check me. Like, am I thinking about this the wrong way? Am I incorrect in my thought process? Like, what do you think? And like, I want to make sure, and this is another thing, like, make sure that you invite the people into your life that you trust with absolutely guiding you in the right direction when the time comes. And so that direction may be one that you've already found for yourself, or it might be one that you haven't recognized yet, a perspective you haven't quite delved into. And so that's why I look to you guys to go, like, man, like, in the moment, feel free, and you have my permission to always go, dude, you need to do this differently. This is why. Here's my thought process. If I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you, but at least you gave me your honest, brotherly, sisterly opinion, and I hope that I invite that into life. So I'm sorry for that, because you're so right. Like, in that time, I was like, go, 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 and it was my own stresses. And then I feel like I kind of, let me say it a different way, as a brother, he was like, let me take some of that for you. I'm gonna pick that up with you, and we're gonna carry the boats together.
I knew you were gonna say that.
We're gonna carry the boats together, right? Shout out to David Goggins. Like who's gonna carry the boats? Andrew's like, I will. There's a beautiful quote, but actually it's a Bible verse, and he said, "In the Lord," and then he said, "Send me." Do you know this one? It's such a beautiful quote.
I'm pretty sure it's used probably frequently, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he said, and I said unto the Lord, "Send me." Like, and that was such a beautiful. I heard Shia LaBeouf say it in was it Fury? It was a great movie. And so, like, it's in those moments that you have to recognize, like, your brothers will also, your sisters, your whoever it is to you, if they're people that love you and care about you, they will 100% see your burdens and try and pick them up with you. But if you have the ability to set those things down, you could save all of you a hell of a lot of pain, agony. Our situation wasn't that bad, but at least a little bit of stress, and we could have got some more sleep during that time. Would have been nice, especially, like, some of the things that you do are it's so necessary for you to be getting adequate rest. Like, you're preparing for a show this year for bodybuilding, and like, it's imperative that you're getting 8, 9, however many hours of sleep. And so 6. Oh God, we got to work on that. So, like, in those moments, it's like, it's imperative that you don't just release all of your needs once to someone else and then have them carry them for you or even with you, because they probably will. If they care enough about you, they probably will. So anyways, we find ourselves in, I don't know, 2024, I think, with Does It Make Sense, should also be a very introspective year where we stop and we look at what we could do better as individuals, what we can do better as a collective. That's another thing that's been interesting to adapt to, and I wonder what your guys' thoughts on that are. Is for myself, as I like to think of myself as a member of this group with a respected opinion. Is that fair? And I mean our overall group, not just like he's like, I don't know.
No, yeah.
And in those moments where like I have an opinion or a thought or a perspective on something, I keep telling myself, dude, you got to make sure now that you're working with a larger collective of people that you're thinking larger. And you're thinking for everybody as a group as opposed to just thinking specifically for yourself and what's best for you. And that's been another interesting thing that ties back into, how you and Nicole helped me into a better space, especially introducing me to my woman. Like, that's been such a positive thing. Like, oh, cool. Like, these people not only look out for me in my own mental health and things of that nature, but they're also connecting me with good people. They're thinking bigger than themselves. And that's been, something I've been focused on. How have you guys adapted to being a part of such a large group? Because I feel like we went 0 to 60. I feel like it went from maybe 2 or 3 of us at a time to now, like, we'll be in a house with 15 of us on any given day.
It wasn't really hard for me per se, just because I already come from like a pretty big family, and I'm always used to like having and being around people, like, especially big shout out to like one of my good friends that I grew up with, TJ. He has 2 older siblings, and they would always, it was super weird back then, they would always throw like little gatherings, like a FIFA tournament or a dessert party, like at their mom's house. And so we would always be around people, and I would always be around like a big group of friends. I had to learn how to be alone, which we've talked about that with G. And so then going into this, it was almost like I was already used to and was good at being in large groups of people, but I had to go into this not self-sabotaging myself to think like, oh, this is just another friend group that, I'm going to be a part of, and then something's going to happen, it's going to dwindle down, and it's going to, we're going to go our separate ways, and, because that's happened a lot. It's happened a lot to me, and it's a sucky situation, because it's like, you expose your vulnerability, you expose who you are yourself, you expose yourself, who you truly are as a person. You get comfortable, you hang out, you go out, you have dinner, you cry together, you talk about life together, you do life together for a little bit, and then something happens and you guys part ways, and it's hard to like constantly redoing that in different group settings. And so this time it was almost like learning how to not think that way, if that makes sense. And we talked about it, I think I forget what episode was it, because we're on like 30 something. It was me, you, and G. It was actually down that way, where I was getting emotional about like my past and like being open. Like that's how I felt.
Yeah.
And, we talked about that, and if no one's seen it, I'd highly recommend watching it, because that was a really good episode. And then even now having like Cristobal and Sav, it was just like, okay, like this is a new group of people. How do I be around them to where I don't self-sabotage for them to be like, no, we don't really mess with Andrew because he's, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of learning about that, and I've now gotten over it, because I'm like, no, like this is family. Like this is like, we're doing like life together. Like, yeah, we get on each other's nerves, but we talk about it. It's like, it's a very adult, healthy relationship, which a lot of people do, like, you don't see. You know what I mean? Like you really don't see it. It's like you have your group of friends that you go party with, then you have your group of friends that you go to church with, then you have your group of friends that you maybe, go grab coffee with and like hang out, and then you have your group of friends that are more like at homey. Like, bro, we're every single 5 of those things, you know what I mean? And so that's what I like. That's honestly what I like.
what did you do out of curiosity? What, like, because I don't know if I necessarily agree. What did you do out of curiosity to self-sabotage those previous friendships? Because I feel like if you were just you, is that?
How do I put it? It was just mostly giving myself so much that I guess for some people, and thinking about what your question, which is a great question, I guess it technically wasn't self-sabotaging. I just saw it that way because the friendships didn't flourish and they dwindled away, which maybe that's God saying like, hey, that's a friendship that shouldn't have happened, which honestly it probably is. But it's still something that hurt. I think it was mostly giving myself so much that people almost found something wrong with it, that they're just like, let's just find some reason for, you know, for us not to mess with it, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
What are your thoughts? Do you think
What
that
are
has
your
anything
thoughts?
to do with him?
No. But I can see why you say it, because you're a caring person. So you, and it's not even that you do it consciously, maybe subconsciously. You take the enormity of the situation and you put it over your shoulders because you carry the fucking logs, you carry the boats, literally. And you're like, yo, I have to figure out a solution for this, and this happened because of me, because you're a caring person. But I don't think it has anything to do with you.
Yeah, I wonder how many times you invested yourself, as you should, into other people's lives and tried to help them through situations, and they weren't ready to solve their own problems. I'm just curious, you know, because and this comes from a place, I'm jaded. I've heard some of the stories. Okay, so I have a little bit of a different perspective than maybe just the person who's listening with us in this conversation. But I would argue that you being you is like a beautiful scent and a bug repellent at the same time. The things that you're supposed to attract will come that fit your vibration. Who do I sound like right now?
Hey, Christy, come out here real quick.
What do I sound like? Right? They'll fit your vibration. The things that are not on your frequency, however, will probably be pushed away from you as they should. And as we sit here in this beautiful space and we reflect on the different relationships, friendships, etc. that we've had, I find it hard to believe that to find a group as beautiful as the one that we have here today, that these things don't have a certain level of preordainment as to where those groups were supposed to leave. But I also find it hard to believe that that had something to do with us doing something wrong. It doesn't make sense. Now who do I sound like? Right? 2024 is about making things make sense. And to me, what makes a lot more sense is that you're a dope person and you deserved a group of this quality and caliber. And those people were supposed to, through the essence of God, through the essence of the universe, it might be one and the same, they were supposed to find their way out of your life. And they did. I talked to Chris earlier and I said, my policy in my life is an open door policy. I have a beautiful home. If you walk in, there's a fire ablaze. There's probably some Mary J. Blige or Alicia Keys playing over the speakers. And you're welcome to be here and bask in the ambiance of what is Reggie. However, you are also welcome to leave. If you feel like you need to go, I'm perfectly okay with it. That's where you need to be. And I want you to be where you need to be. However, once you leave, please don't try to come back in. And that's not for me to be facetious. It's not for me to show any type of animosity. I have neither of those things in my heart because I have no space for them. I'm filled with way too much love for all of you guys, for Mike, for Mars, for Mom, a lot of M's, right? For all of you guys to be really focused on the people who don't seem to be putting in any effort into me. That doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense. And so I find myself once again visiting this conversation with all of us, and maybe I'm talking more to myself, just like my videos that I do. I find myself talking more to myself even than I am to you. So look at me before you reflect internally upon yourself and understand that what I'm saying is, it doesn't make sense for us to continue to make ourselves the blame and the butt of every joke and the problem, and we're what's wrong and we're always sorry. I was in a meeting a couple of months ago, and I was in a meeting with two of my higher ups, and I remember one of them said, "Reggie, stop apologizing." And I took so much offense to that. I was like, "Oh man, like what do you take? Like that's where I'm from. I'm supposed to apologize to my elders." But if I look at it from a different perspective, what she was saying is you're supposed to be here. You're allowed to have these opinions. Why do you continuously degrade yourself for the betterment of others? You don't degrade yourself just to degrade yourself, but you degrade yourself to create space for other people. And I remember Mom saying one time, she said, in the right space, if you shine bright enough, people will bask in your ambience. They will take in that warm morning glow. And to the wrong person, they will be burned by your rays. And as we sit here in the setting sun, I want to just leave that and let you take that and process it through your own perspective. What are your thoughts? Guess I didn't give you much time to process, huh?
Talking to me?
I love you guys, by the way.
I love you back.
Yeah, I love y'all too.
We love you back. Dude, listen, man. We don't have time to worry about stuff that doesn't make sense. Establish that already. What we do have time for, though, is our family. Time for the people that we care for, that care for us. Because at the end of the day, I thought it was going to be more dramatic.
He said, that's like
I was waiting.
He's like,
Yo, this is about to-
But at the end of the day, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we're a speck of dust, speck of sand. So why not just worry about the stuff that really matters, which is
big facts.
getting us forward to our goals. The goals that we had as little kids, the ones that we forgot, maybe, I forgot a couple. But getting back on track to what really matters to our hearts, man.
Yeah.
And like you said, what keeps our heart warm, what our heart has capacity for. Those are my thoughts, man. I've always thought that way, actually. But it's easy to get off the path because of whatever circumstances come up, and I understand. But it's great to have you guys because it's easy to get back on path just like that.
Yeah. And stay on path, because there's a certain level of you guys keep me accountable. You know what I mean? And like that's such a beautiful aspect, and that's probably, it's much better done now with all of us down here, especially Chris coming down here. I think this was huge, like, because I think like maybe we would have ran ourselves into the ground, and then Chris like comes in and he's got a calmer energy, and then we could feel like, okay, we're gonna like, you have an energy of like, we're gonna get there. And so like it gives us a chance to be more calm and more collected and feel like, okay, we can have a good time, because this extra energy makes us feel really solidified in our ability to succeed over a long period of time. And therein lies the real key, is that life, if lived correctly and with the grace of God, is very long, and it's full of beautiful, beautiful situations. And I would be remiss if I didn't remind us that I think the saddest moment is going to be at the end when we accomplish all of it. I think that's going to be the most beautiful, bittersweet moment that we'll ever have. When there's 5 Porsches in the driveway and our families are taken care of and we've given back to communities, we ain't going to hate it. Don't get me wrong. But what we probably will have a feeling of is like, man, what a hell of a journey. I wish I could go back and do that all over again. So we damn sure better enjoy it while we're on it. We damn sure better enjoy it. Because, I always say, unless you have some amazing scientific evidence to show to me, I'm pretty sure we don't get to do this thing twice.